Yes, Theo Vaughn was in the news this week and had quite a roller coaster. We posted the video of me and Craig talking about this, where it was reported that Theo Vaughn bombed his Netflix taping. And there was a 2-second clip going around where Theo makes a suicide joke. And people jumped to, he must be back on drugs. He must be dealing with depression, and he's on the brink, and he's having a difficult time. I, as someone that doesn't know Theo Vaughn at all, said, oh, there might be other context to this. Maybe we should wait a second and hear from Theo. Theo Vaughn's friend and former co-host Brendan Schaub did a 10-minute diatribe about why Theo Vaughn is he's going to die soon. It was the weirdest thing. So we talked about that the other day, and we do have a clip of Brendan doubling down in a bit. But this is Theo's response, and this is why you shouldn't necessarily rush to judgment. It does sound like it was a disaster, but it was interesting to hear Theo talk about the situation, because apparently it's not what a lot of people thought necessarily.
So I had a comedy special that we were taping. We were taping it last week, and about a month before I quit taking some antidepressants I was taking. You know, I just kind of self-weaned myself off. And the reason why was because I wanted, like during the comedy show, I wanted to have a little bit more emotion during it. I wanted to have this kind of, like, I just wanted to have some more feelings. You know, if you ever taken antidepressants, or if you haven't, it kind of takes away your feelings, kind of. You know, so you just kind of stay in this space where you're okay. And it's nice. It's a safe space, but you don't, you're like the astronaut that kind of stays on the ship sometimes. And you get to do the thumbs up and shit, but other dudes are like, you know, other people are out there. Anyway, so I quit taking my medication because I wanted to have a little bit more feelings during the show. I wanted to be able to talk about stuff a little bit more that meant something to me and put it into the comedy show. So that was all going fine, right? I was doing fine with that. We were headed into the comedy show, and then the Charlie Kirk thing happened, right? The Charlie Kirk murder happened, which is really crazy. You know, it was just a crazy thing.
You said it, Theo.
I've talked about it before. I'm not going to talk about it anymore right now. But a few days after that, or maybe a week after that, the Department of Homeland Security put a video up online talking about they started making like trap beat edits and like banger edits to evicting people from the country, right? Or eliminating illegals, maybe some criminals, some people just undocumented, all, you know, just across the spectrum, right? So they put a video of mine that I'd made for somebody in a parking lot, probably like maybe a year and a half ago, just jokingly. I think it was a year and a half ago. They put it in at the front of this Department of Homeland Security, like trap beat. I think they had like, I'm not sure if they had like young boy lyrics or whatever they had, but it was ridiculous. And the video was a girl had walked up to me in a parking lot, and she had said, "Hey, my friend just got deported. What do you have to say? Do you have a message?" I can't remember what it was. And I was just like, "Bye." You know, and I didn't know if it was real or not. I had no idea. I was just joking around. It's a stranger came up to me in a parking lot. I think it was after a show, and there were some people gathered around, and we were just kind of like BSing and taking pictures and just kind of associating, right? So anyway, long story short.
By the way, listen to this long explanation that Theo's giving. Like, basically saying he was under a lot of stress, blah, blah, blah. Brendan, instead of calling this guy, went to like, he's probably on drugs and he's going to die soon. It's like, what a crazy. It's so funny to hear Theo give this long explanation of everything that was going on in his life, and Brendan reacted without knowing any of it. It is pretty wild.
We all have that meathead friend. It's his.
We'll hear more from him in a minute. But it was interesting to hear Theo, because everyone assumed like, oh, he's back on drugs or something. According to him, he's actually off of he's off his antidepressants, and that's why he's behaving weird. And his life has gotten so crazy where Theo has entered that sort of Joe Rogan level now where like if he has an opinion on anything, it makes news. You know, so like if he makes a joke about ice or whatever, like people are going to report it. And like it's interesting to hear him deal with that, and it actually affected his life in a major way. And it was interesting to hear him tell that story, I thought.
He was also very funny yesterday on College Game Day. Like I watched to see.
I saw some clips, yeah.
Maybe he's gonna fuck up. Maybe he's gonna. No, he was hilarious.
Well, Theo is a guy. People have always said like, "Oh, his podcast is funny, but his stand-up sucks." It is weird when you get to that level if you're not as talented a comedian as your name suggests, but you're expected to do stand-up.
Yeah,
that's a weird place to be. Like, there's this expectation of his stand-up that equals his podcast numbers. And it's like, I don't think anyone's ever said his stand-up is equal to that, you know? So it's a weird place that the business puts you in, where it's like, well, let's see if he's good at this too. Because I think Theo would call himself a stand-up over a podcaster, but he's much better at the podcasting part.
He knew to shit on Saban, and that's how you win on game day. You just go there and you shit all over Saban, and that's a W.
You're damn right.
That happens. So this video goes mega viral, 25 million, 30 million views. It's everywhere. And the front of of that Homeland Security video, it's on the White House thing. It's on everything. It's everywhere. And the first 10 seconds of it are me.
Yeah, so he's going through a weird time where, like, if he talks about Gaza, and it makes news, like it has headlines now, and that's going to be a weird thing to adjust to. You know, I've heard Portnoy talk about this when he's on the Unnamed show, where like he seems afraid to weigh in on political issues because he knows it's going to be a headline, and then you have to deal with that for the rest of the week or however long that news cycle is, where people are harassing you about it. So it's a weird place that Theo's in, and it was interesting to hear him tell this story, and it's crazy to me that someone that was in his life as much as Brendan Schaub wasn't like, maybe I should call him before speaking on it.
Mm-hmm. This next one's called Paranoid.
Yeah, so he, like I said, he has this thing where people are scrutinizing every word he says, and it started to really affect him.
Right? So I'm getting a ton of hateful stuff, and I'm trying to remember everything. I'm trying to kind of remember everything right now, and but this video goes everywhere, and I'm getting like a lot of like, dude, what the fuck? Just all kind of shit, right? Like my phone just blew. I'm like, what the hell? It's just like the last thing I needed, right? There's a week left to this special, and this happens. You know, this thing comes out. And my father immigrated here from Nicaragua, right? Like one of my prized possessions is I have his immigration papers when he came here.
It doesn't seem Nicaraguan to me. But
no, I was when he said, I don't even know if maybe it's a joke or something. I was very surprised when I heard him say
it. Calling ICE right now. We're getting Theo out of here.
Yeah.
And I have him in a frame, and him and his siblings when they came here. And so I have tons of thoughts about it, but this was just fucked up, right? It was fucked up. And it was everywhere. It was like on all platforms and stuff. So that had me really kind of paranoid. You know, that had me start to get kind of paranoid and, you know, like closing, like, you know, I had the curtains in my house kind of closed. I was just like, you know, you're paranoid. I woke up the next morning. Sorry, I need some water.
Take your time, Theo.
I woke up the next morning to a text from a high government official saying, hey, if you need some extra security in your neighborhood or some extra police cars on patrol, let me know. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
It's crazy as a guy who followed a lot of these guys before they were names at all. It's wild to me that this section of stand-up and podcasting has gotten so big that government officials are like, hey, Theo Vaughn, do you need protection? Like, it is weird. Kind of like Louis was just talking about with David Cross, where they were like, you know, they were roommates and, you know, sleeping on couches together and shit like that. And now they're part of this big scandal, controversy, whatever. Like how much of the world has changed over time. The idea that fucking J.D. Vance is texting Theo Vaughn, like, hey, are you worried about this? It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
extra security. I don't have any, like, you know, I don't even know the code to my Ring camera. Like, I don't even know how to log in. So it's like, and like, what, you're just going to put police cars in my neighborhood? What are my neighbors going to think? Now they're fearful. Like, it just like, I don't know, man. That like really kind of shook me. It really kind of shook me.
It's a weird time he's dealing with, and I thought it was interesting to hear him tell this story because everyone rushed to judgment and was like, "Oh, I guess he's doing blow again." And he actually had a much more fascinating saga that he went through.
He was under pressure, Mike, and that's the next one.
He certainly was, yeah.
So just a lot of, I think, unnecessary pressure. A lot of stress going on that I did. Some of it I was aware of, and some of it you just don't know you're aware of it, I think. You know, because I think like you just, sometimes you don't know what stress you're holding. You know, one day there was I got a call from a friend of mine, and they said they were going into rehab. And I just started bawling, right? And I didn't realize that there was a part of me that was waiting to hear that from them, and that it really made me feel some type of way, you know? So sometimes it's like you just don't know what stresses you're holding. Anyway, so we get to the shows, right? We're there, and it's a lot, you know? It's a lot. There's a lot of like last minute choices to be made. It seemed to go messier than the past specials that I'd taped. Right, it seemed to be a lot more confusion, and it all could have been just kind of my perception, right? Because what started to happen was on this day, I was starting to feel a little bit like, I don't know if manic is a word. I don't know what manic means. I've said manic, but I don't manic mean.
He's Googling manic right now.
He's so
Let me
cute.
see. What does it mean when someone is manic? Oh, it says trying to meet mans. That's the first one. Like, this is fucking, see, this is how bad shit's gotten.
He has a folksy way about him. He's adorable.
Next one's called The Show.
Yeah, so this is him talking about this is what's weird about a lot of these guys' careers is like Theo Von talks about like having a teleprompter there and stuff. Like, he's not a skilled stand. I don't even mean that like shitting on him. Like, he's not to the level where someone would be getting paid, what I'm sure he's getting paid by Netflix to do a special. He doesn't have that resume in stand-up. You're giving it to him because he's a great podcaster. And it's interesting to watch him kind of break down. I'd love to see this version. Like, if Theo releases this with maybe commentary at the beginning, laying out what the set is, I think that would be really interesting. I don't know if we'll ever see that, but this is him talking about what happened because it sounded like a fucking disaster.
So I think I started to feel kind of mildly manic. I think it was just being off the medication. I think, and it wasn't insane. It was just little things. Like the second I got on stage, the first show, I couldn't feel any moisture in my mouth. And I started to feel like, you ever remember that feeling if you were in high school and you got high and then you were standing there talking to your friends and you were just too high and you were just literally standing there just trying to pretending to be yourself a little bit? So I had a little bit of that going on. And it started off choppy. The first show, it started off kind of choppy. We were doing like a new intro with Joey Diaz at the last minute, and he was pretty goomed up. You know, he's Coco. and it was a blessing that he was there, but we hadn't ran through it. And so it just like a lot of like things at the last minute. But yeah, I'm on stage, and the second half of the first show went good. And there were some beats that I got that had like an emotional piece to them that I wanted, and that felt exciting.
It's not a great spot to be in to go, the second half of the first show went well. Mm-hmm. That's when you know you had a rough evening, where it's like, well, a quarter of the shows I did was okay.
We had one good quarter in 6 games. Go team.
But the whole show, it was there were parts where I just couldn't remember the next thing. I couldn't remember like my next sequence. Like I was having trouble just keeping track of stuff. And that's when I really was like, oh man,
that's got to be crazy. That has to be a crazy experience, which is why like, I'm glad Theo talked about this. It seems like honestly, because that has to be a wild thing to be taping a Netflix special. And like, I mean, there's pressure on that anyways, just whether or not the jokes are going to work or whatever. But like, if you forget what you're supposed to say, that has to be a crazy level of pressure, which is why I'd be interested in seeing this version of it. Put it out like almost like a kind of like The Day the Laughter Died or something like that, where like people will go in knowing it's bad. But like it would be an interesting thing to watch, because watching a guy forget his lines has to be kind of wild if you're at a comedy show expecting a veteran or someone of Theo's stature.
Mike, we're going to do a free chat of the day because this is a pretty good comment here. Premium says, don't start blaming stuff on your medication. That's how it all started with Joe Matarese. So a cautionary tale there for Theo.
That's fair. But to Theo's credit, he's saying it's because he was off the medication that he fucked
That's
up
true.
this badly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what happened to Elliott Smith. Everyone thinks Elliott Smith was like this druggie. He actually, ended because he got off of drugs, and the emotions came flooding back to him, and he had no drugs to prevent the pain. And so sometimes that can actually be worse.
Yeah. Get back on those antidepressants, Theo.
Yes, please.
Might be
I'm
good.
just off tonight. I just, it is just like, I'm just off tonight. And I think I remember saying to the audience, like, thank you guys just for being here for me, and the audience was cool, man. People were happy to be there. They were super stoked when I came out. I started to feel bad that I wasn't giving them the best show, but the show ended up going a little bit long.
Okay.
Next one up is The Clip.
Yeah. So this is what I said. I saw this clip, and it's literally if you haven't seen it, it's literally 2 seconds. It's Theo going, "I'm not that good. Maybe I'll kill myself soon." Like it's that short, but like it's so out of context that I was like, why is no one saying that he could be kidding? Why is everyone taking this at face value? And that's exactly what Theo talks about here, where it was clearly just taken out of context.
I woke up the next day to like a bunch of things like, bro, what's up? Or things like that. And I was like, oh my God, what's going like, did I steal somebody's horse? Did I hit somebody with a vehicle? I have no idea. It was just kind of alarming. And then a buddy of mine sent me a clip, and I could just see the outside. And it was like, you could see me on stage. And then people were asking me about suicide. And I was like, oh God, and I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I can certainly see me saying something like, oh, just try not to take my own life,
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I understand it's not a joke to some people, right?
That's right. 988 is what you can dial if you're having any problems at all. Just dial 988 and you can talk to
Yes. Yes.
You can
Oh yeah.
text them,
Because
too. You can text.
because we're
text.
talking about this, YouTube, don't take us down. We're talking
No.
about it in a fun manner.
educational and helpful way. We're trying
Yes.
to learn it. Yes.
Yeah.
There's comics
Yeah,
out there
yeah.
that need to know. 988 is the number.
I think this is what Royce got taken down for, but when we talked to Royce Lopez a couple weeks ago, he said something like that. They made some reference to suicide, and they just got taken down. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Our
988.
references-
I've texted him myself.
Yep. Good
All
people.
right. Well, that's a fun spin on this segment.
Okay.
It's not a joke
Okay,
to me.
Electra.
But it is something that I'll say stuff sometimes. I say stuff, right? You know that. If you've listened to this show before or seen anything, I say stuff.
He says.
I would never take my own life. I would never take my own life. Okay? You hear that, Israel? I would never take my own life.
I like
So,
that he
but
threw that in
anyway,
there.
This next one here is called Headlines.
Yeah, so everyone rushed to judgment here, including Theo's friends, which has to be crazy to deal with, where you wake up and everyone's like, are you all right? Are you back on drugs? All this stuff. And you're like, Jesus, this was a bad set. Imagine bombing. And then everyone's like, are you okay? Like physically, mentally, are you all right?
so anyway, that was, so I woke up to that and I was like, oh man. And I guess I had like a lot of different, in addition to that, people wrote articles, oh, this is bad. And look, it wasn't great. I didn't love it. And I had a lot of people that said it was great, though. Like, I had people say, dude, we loved it. It was great.
Well, to be fair, maybe they were being nice. You know? But this was my point when I was like, maybe it's getting taken out of context. It's like we saw 5 tweets that people put, and people were like, oh, Theo had an awful show. And everyone was like, oh my God, maybe he's back on drugs. It was the craziest overreaction. So it was interesting to hear Theo talk about all this, but it was like wild to see some of the people jump to conclusions, which we'll see in a moment.
I think it's more important to say that he did a lot of his old stuff while he was on drugs. And that's a lot easier to do than to do it sober, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus he might not want to do that stuff because it can trigger. So now he has to do new stuff. Yeah, that could be.
I'm not sure how long he's been sober exactly, but
so, but I didn't think it was perfect, you know, for sure. But I thought, let's just look at the edit and see. And so we still haven't decided. We might shoot again at some point. I don't know what's going to go on. But there was just this energy.
Release it, Theo.
Mm-hmm. All of it with a DVD cut where you're talking about it.
Yeah.
And then get G.D. Fenderson to do closed caption for it. That would be great.
Now where it was like everybody started checking on me, and I was like, oh man, this is tough. And there's people that would think like, oh well, he failed, or who want to write up something that says he failed or make a meme. I saw one thing, it said bombs Netflix or whatever, taping or whatever. Awesome. Thank you, dude.
Yeah. He's like, what the there's no footage of this other than 2 seconds, and it's already been proclaimed that Theo Von bombed, which, like I said, if he did, I think that's a very interesting experience. Joe DeRosa did that as well. Like, obviously, The Day the Laughter Died is the famous example, but Dice was kind of doing that purposely. Mm-hmm. Joe DeRosa released like a B-side to one of his early albums where the show goes horribly wrong. Like, it's just the audience is terrible, and I feel like that is interesting. So I kind of hope Theo does release that.
You remember when Nick Swardson was wasted on stage?
Yeah.
That was like the best show I've ever seen by Nick Swardson. So, yeah. This next one here is called Good Place.
Yeah, so this is good to hear. Theo says he's doing all right, which I hope is true.
But it was just like, I don't know, there was just a lot of little things that were adding up to stress. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And it's just been like, I've had so many people reach out. So thank you so much. I've had so many people say nice things. I can't believe, like, to me, it felt very kind of like in passing. And then I was just kind of burnt out. But just know that I'm never at a place like that. You know, I'm far from a place like that. You know, there may have been times when I was a kid or something where I had some negative, you know, some stuff was scary. But yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. You're going to be here. And we're going to be here together like we always been.
I liked hearing Theo say that. I'm glad he's doing well as someone that has dealt with similar issues. I don't go bragging about it like Electra does, but as someone who can relate to a lot of what Theo was talking about, it was nice. It was nice to hear him talk about that so openly and honestly, and it was good to hear him, you know, kind of dispel some of the rumors that maybe he was struggling. So I was glad to hear from Theo Von in that respect. Now, really, the only reason I played all of those clips is to show this moose, this fucking ox, charge his way into being part of this story. So we released the other day, we released the clip of me and Craig talking about Brendan Schaub on the Schaub Show, just leaping to conclusions about Theo Von and wildly speculating, just rampant speculation. Now, in this clip, I believe Brendan Schaub records the Schaub Show and The Fighter and the Kid on the same day, either Sunday or early Monday morning. I think he records them both because a lot of the topics come up on both sometimes. This is him talking to Callen, and Brian Callen, you will watch what a good friend would do in this situation. Like, Brian Callen is being a friend to Theo, and Brendan Schaub says, I got to stop you right there, B. That you're not behaving right. This is crazy. Doubles down on leaping into the Theo Von story.
Not Bob.
Can we talk about the Theo stuff? Yeah, get Brian's take on it. Okay. So these are headlines that are popping up everywhere. Says right here, Theo Von's Netflix special taping apparently went terribly wrong.
Why?
I mean, I think, Brendan, you have more details on it. I know they're saying that he had to stop it a few times during the show.
I mean, I wasn't there, but this is an article on it. It says Theo Von.
Hold on. Chin, the producer, is like, I don't know. Brendan spoke like a real expert earlier, and Brendan's like, yeah, I read headlines. Pretty well versed in this. Chin assumed, like, well, clearly he's talked to Theo. And Theo was like, yep, I'm on the brink, man. Like, I am really on the edge here. Because why else would Brendan have talked so expertly if he had no fucking clue what was going on with his friend?
That's a good catch, because when that guy goes, Brendan knows about this, Brendan had a shocked look on his face. He's like,
Brendan's like, no, I actually know nothing about it. I just spoke about it with a tremendous amount of confidence.
Most probably all right. Keep going down. So what happened?
But the people are mean, the ones that are...
This is Reddit, those, and people want someone's dead.
I think you got something, Mike. I think Brendan Schaub can only read headlines. He can't read the bodies of the thing. He can only read the headlines. That's amazing.
How about you have the man's number in your fucking phone? Text him and go, hey, Theo, are you all right?
I'm seeing these headlines.
Downfall. So this guy put Theo just bombed, saw Theo at the Beacon Theater for his Netflix taping. Some of the crowd walked out.
I mean, you know.
This is great to do as a friend, by the way. Just read all of these. You heard Theo mention.
Right?
He's like, oh, yeah, thanks for that, by the way. All those headlines saying I bombed. This is his friend going, oh, yeah, Theo bombs. Theo's a big mess. He's not actually a great He's not a great stand-up. He's a better podcaster. Why are you reading these, Brendan?
Got a head full of hair plugs. Can never get a
Terrible.
woman with
And again, this is before Theo addressed it at all. Brendan is like, I got you, brother.
I never take any of this.
Says was there, left Theo.
Great, bro, hold on. Hey,
Keep going.
Brian, before you're a good friend, let me cut you off right there.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm gonna trample that friendship you're about to provide and read a few more headlines. Calvin is responding correctly, where he's like, well, listen, I don't know what happened, and Brendan's like, he really sucked. All he is an accent. That's what people are laughing at. It's all fake. He has no real perspective. I'm sorry, Brian, you were saying something?
Yeah, shush, Brian, there's a comment here about his micro penis. Let me read this.
Was there, left Theo, worst set ever. He seemed unrehearsed, disorganized.
Theo
repeated bits multiple times.
Original voices,
Yeah, this is.
You know, I
I would rather watch Gringo Poppy than this. Blah blah blah.
Can't fight.
don't care I don't know what happened, but Theo has always been impossibly funny.
Yeah, he might be the most talented
he had a
comic walking the earth.
Unlike what it says here on Reddit, where he bombed horribly. It says, and these are just the headlines I'm reading, Brian.
He's probably one of the most original people I've ever fucking
Yeah,
met.
he's once in a generational talent.
Yeah, he's incredible.
It says I was at the show tonight. Did
he have an off night? Who knows? I have off nights. I don't know.
He had to pause the show, ask for the punchline several times. This is
Stop
different, Tuppy.
reading these, Brendan. This is your friend. Oh, yeah, no, totally. Once in a generation talent. It says here he needs a teleprompter, and he couldn't even remember his lines.
It said there was feces
once in a
dribbling down
generation.
his leg.
Different.
Yeah.
This is different. Yeah.
Oh, go back. So Brian says there, he's like, hey, we all bomb. Listen to what Brendan says about the situation he knows literally nothing about. Literally, this man knows nothing about it. And watch him correct Brian Callen here.
He's once in a generational talent.
Yeah, he's incredible.
It says I was at the show tonight. Did
he have an off night? Who knows? I have off nights. I don't know.
He had to pause the show, ask for the punchline several times. This is different, Tuppy. This is different.
Yeah.
This is different. Yeah.
You don't know that.
Jesus.
He doubles down and goes, no, Brian. This was no off night. This is actually a generational drip that went on stage and bombed in front of everybody. That's what you're missing. But I mean, he's tremendous talent and a good friend of mine. But yeah, this was the worst show, according to this Reddit user, that has ever been perpetrated on America, it says here. And I'm just reading headlines now, B.
The herpes of comedy. It says.
What a tremendous jackass. And we talked about this on Tuesday, and I think Craig made the point where it's like, the sad part of it is Brendan is trying to be a friend here. Like, he thinks he's doing what's right. And that's where you're like, oh, Brendan, you sweet little scamp. You never read the room correctly. It's unfortunate because I think Brendan's trying to be a good guy, but he always missteps in these situations.
And Brian can never assert himself at all. He's just
He's the
whimpering
beta
in
on
the
the show.
background.
I don't understand. I guess I understand it physically. But like, I don't know why mentally Brian can never assert himself as the alpha in this room, where Brian's like, hey, well, maybe we don't know any fucking thing about this and we shouldn't bury our good friend of many years.
I've had bad nights too, you know.
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be humiliating this man publicly. And remember the last time we did this to a friend where we threw him under the bus and we kind of looked we looked foolish for this right after. We don't have a good track record on this stuff. And Brendan goes, no. This one's different, you idiot. This one. And then the next day, Theo does this long thing where he's like, I'm not on drugs. You don't have to worry about me. I'm in a good place. And I think Brendan is still like, I'm not so sure. I'm not seeing any evidence. Look at this Reddit post about how bad he's doing.
Go to blindmike.net for everything Blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.